Hey, it's John Lee Dumas of EO Fire, and it's The Entrepreneurial You, the show for dedicated and passionate Caribbean entrepreneurs seeking daily inspiration, brought to you by author, speaker, and award-winning entrepreneur Heneka Watkis-Porter. You must be prepared to ignite.
Don't sit and wait. Get out there, feel life, touch the sun, and immerse in the sea. Rumi, that's a quote by Rumi. Hello, my peak performers. What are you doing? What are you up to today? Welcome to episode 118 of the Entrepreneurial You podcast. I'm Heneka Watkis-Porter. Today's episode is with Amanda Hathorn. Amanda is the CEO of GetALifeAtSea.com and is the author of the How the Heck to Get a Job on a Cruise Ship guide. Amanda sailed the world on board cruise ships for over a decade, working with a variety of roles with multiple cruise lines. She then moved into cruise ship recruitment and cruise employment education provision services. Amanda now helps adventurers successfully navigate cruise line application and interview processes so they too can travel the world. Today we are going to be talking about, how to get a life at sea. Welcome, Amanda.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. And before we head into our conversations, right, I have a little fun question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever been to Jamaica?
Yes, I have cruised many times.
Awesome. And
yes.
What stood out for you the most?
I would have to say, obviously the beautiful scenery, but I think more importantly, the people, just very, having sailed the world for over a decade, it's really lovely to come across a culture and a people that are so welcoming to people coming to see their beautiful space. So I think that's probably the top thing that I recommend about my time there. Yeah.
Awesome. Glad you made it. And we're looking forward to have you back, right?
Yes.
All right. So we're diving into, and let me just before I even say that, full disclosure, everybody, right? I have worked and I'm working with Amanda regarding getting a life at sea, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm excited and she's been amazing. So we're going to be talking about that today. Just how do we get started in the world how did you, Amanda, get started in the world of the sea?
It's a great question. So I worked on board for 10 years, but I actually got my start. I don't count the first 3 years that I spent at sea because I actually, from the age of 6 months to 3.5 years old, was at sea on board a cargo ship. My dad was the ship's captain and my mom was his sort of first purser assistant. And that is where I was, she had me on board. So I was conceived on the ship. She found out she was pregnant with me while the ship was traveling to Australia. She returned home to Canada to have me, and then I quickly returned to the ship with her. So, and we during that time primarily were doing Florida through the Caribbean runs with Del Monte. So that was really a great way to grow up. Obviously, I have some core memories from that time, but not too much. It was pretty early on. But when my parents returned to land, realizing pretty quickly, because I was the only child on the ship, that I would need to start going to school and things like that. They returned to land when I was 3.5, and started actually one of Canada's first marine recruitment firms, specializing in deck and technical officers. A few years later, my father went back to the UK to become a marine lawyer based upon his experiences at sea and his newfound interest in law. And my mother actually continued on with cruise ship recruitment. So her business then morphed from just doing deck and tech and grew into also doing the hotel side of things for some major cruise brands, including Princess and Holland America, Viking. So yeah, she was and still is one of the longest standing Canadian recruitment partners in the country today. So that's how I got started into it.
That's an amazing story. No, never, would have imagined that from that early that you were introduced to the ocean and just, the beauty of it. Because when I think about the ocean, I just think about, yes, it can be fierce and ferocious. But when I really think about the ocean, I think about, the vastness of opportunities that exist. I mean, in a figurative and literal way, and also the peace and serenity and the calm and everything that comes with that. Now, you've already, excite me. Well, you had me from hello, right? So that's why we're even having this conversation. And persons may be looking on and thinking, I want to be a part of that. Now, tell me about your experience now not from the infant stage, but when you started working in the world, of sea life, and what was it like for you as a career until you moved into your own business of getalife@sea.com?
Obviously, I finished high school and went on to university in Canada. And it was during my second year that my mom actually called me up, and she had just started doing some hotel side recruitment with Princess Cruises. And they had just changed one of their roles on board. Their youth activities role was always a permanent role, so 6 months on, 2 months off, but they had recently morphed it to also allow for seasonal staff to join on the ship. So seasonal contracts for youth staff being, anywhere from 2 to 12 weeks. And because to that point, I had a lot of experience working with youth in large organizational settings through basically since I was 14 and up, things like summer camps, day camps, that kind of thing. She was starting to hire some seasonal staff, and she recommended that I reach out to the Princess Cruises recruitment manager to submit my resume for this seasonal position. And I thought that would be a fantastic idea. I was just in the process of trying to figure out my summer work for that uni break period during my second year. And I signed up for a 3-month contract, my first time out with Princess as a youth staff. And what I quickly realized is that it was an amazing way for me to work away, get paid to travel to see the world, and still be able to continue on with university. I was able to actually go on board anywhere up to about 6 months accumulatively per year during my 6 years of university, where I gained 4 degrees. But I was able to seasonally go every single summer break, which was 3 to 4 months, spring break, Christmas break, so accumulatively 6 months. And then when I finished my last year of university, with a teaching degree and a few other degrees, Princess actually brought out a new position where they were looking for teachers, and they were looking for onboard crew trainers. And because I'd already worked for the company for a few years, I then applied for the promotion. Even though my initial plan was to go into the teaching world shoreside, I actually realized, hey, this is an amazing career move for me. I'm still staying in the teaching training realm of things. And so I became an onboard crew trainer with Princess. I also trained with on board with Royal Caribbean. And then I spent my last couple of years working with P&O Australia in a further promotion as onboard HR manager until about 2010. So that's where I got off ships in 2010 to have a little bit of a break because I'd been doing 10 years. And that's where I met my son's father, who's a guide here in Canada, and then I had a baby. So obviously going back to ships wasn't really in the cards at that point. While I was on maternity leave, I started going onto YouTube, trying to just kind of, touching base with the marine world and seeing what was going on in the world of cruise ship employment. And what I started to see was that there really wasn't anything out there for people trying to learn about how to break into the industry. It's an amazing industry to be part of, but sometimes trying to navigate how to get started and which line to go with and what positions are available can be really confusing if you're new. And so I started my YouTube channel, and I started Get a Life at Sea with the idea that I would just provide people with a guide as to exactly who to apply to, all the official hiring partners, the cruise lines, all the jobs, that kind of thing. And then really quickly, it started to morph. I started getting emails in from guide purchasers saying, I'd really like some more help with applying with my resume. So that's where I started adding on other services like resume development and employment coaching. And so really, I started with the guide idea, but it was my initial followers and purchasers that really helped to morph Get a Life at Sea to what it is today, which is a really all-encompassing cruise ship employment service.
Yeah, and I just hear how passionate you are about it, Amanda. I am excited, really excited about what you're doing and the possibilities. Now, talking about possibilities, what are some of those opportunities that are available, working in the realm of the sea?
Anything that you can imagine exists in a 5-star plus hotel or resort exists on board, and probably even more so. So you've got your two major departments. You've got your deck and tech, which are part of, one department, which actually helps to propel the ship and make the ship move. But then you have the hotel side of things. So that doesn't just include, the front desk. That includes the bar, the restaurants, the photographers, the cruise activities personnel, retail shops. So anything that you can imagine, again, that exists in a resort or a hotel exists on board. And then, of course, you've got these other cruise lines, for example, like Royal Caribbean, who have this additional sort of adventure aspect to their cruising. So you've got things like rock climbing walls and bungee jumping and skydiving, even in sort of clear glass tubes where they hire skydiving instructors to teach on board. So what I like to tell my clients when I first start working with them, we really go through everyone's resume, line by line to really assess all of the experience that someone has, because there is something for everyone on board. And that's the most exciting thing I find.
Oh, you've talked about the opportunities that are available, and they're pretty much, a myriad of them, wide and varied. Now, for persons who are now intrigued, they're now glued to wherever they are, they're and they're listening in and they're excited, and you've got them really pumped up about this. Where do they start?
A great place to start is just by heading to my site, getalifeatsea.com. There's a free quiz that everyone can take just to sort of assess whether or not a life at sea might be for them. From there, I've got a variety of products and services. I have a cruise ship starter kit. Of course, I've got my, I think it's in its 3rd edition now, my How the Heck to Get a Job on a Cruise Ship guide, which for all of your listeners, actually, I have a 50% off coupon. If you put in Get Paid to Travel, you'll get 50% off that guide. And that guide provides everyone with everything they need to know about exactly how to apply to over 22 of the major brands. And then, of course, I've got my services as well. So just one-on-one Skype coaching, if that's something that you want to get into, or resume consultations where I go through with you your resume and an application strategy that's going to fit what you're looking for. And also then I've got my full resume creation package where I actually take all of the work out of your hands. I redesign a brand new cover letter and resume for you just for the cruise ship industry, and also create a personalized strategy. And that's another thing about Get a Life at Sea. I think that's different than anything else out there when it comes to cruise ship employment, because at this current moment globally, so far as I know of, I'm the only cruise ship recruiter or cruise ship employment service provider that's also had more than 10 years actually working on board in a training and HR capacity. So, I've got about 20 years in the industry now of experience. So I really know what it is that each cruise line is looking for and how to really help you to put your best foot forward when it comes to getting your own life at sea.
I want to get an understanding on, for those of us who are listening in, of the community who are listening right now, in terms of the personality trait, because not everything is for everyone, right? We know that. What kind of a personality trait is ideal to have some form of a career or, even an entrepreneurial opportunity for sea life?
Definitely personality traits that will benefit anyone on board are flexibility, for sure. Also the ability to understand and work with cultural diversity. Often, on board a cruise ship, you're working in essence, a microcosm of the entire world. You have up to, 45 to 55 different nationalities working on board as part of the crew. So definitely, that flexibility and ability to work with a multicultural and diverse group of people is very important. Also, the ability to really be outgoing and attentive and assertive to making things happen. We are a family when you work on board, for sure. But there isn't always just the ability to call a service or an assistant up on the phone and to help someone out. So everyone kind of has to make things happen for themselves on board a little bit too. Yes, you have the support of your team, but that's what I really like about my time on board is there's a lot of autonomy. There's a lot of ability to make things happen for yourself, not only in just daily tasks, but also in your promotional opportunities as well. You know, working on cruise ships is one of the only places I've seen where things like seniority don't exist. You know, moving up and getting promoted, it's all based upon your performance and what you put into it. If you get on board and you work harder and better than everyone on your team that's been there longer, you're going to be the one that's promoted first. So that's something I love about working on board as well.
And how long does the process take in terms of from the moment, someone reaches out to you to getting hired on a ship?
It's definitely very varied, I'd like to say. I would say I always let my clients know to always expect anywhere between a 30 and 90-day process to from getting their new documents, so updating their cover letter and resume and starting their application strategy, to actually starting to go through interviews with the cruise lines, and then to actually get placed. I like to tell people it can tend to be anywhere between 3 and 9 months from start to finish. Sometimes that's a little bit dependent on the position you're applying for, the cruise line that you're applying for, and also a little bit about where you're from, because depending on what country you're from, there may be some additional visas that one may need to get in order to work with certain cruise lines. For example, if it's only Americans and Canadians that don't require a C1D visa to work on board with an American brand, which most major cruise brands are based in the US. So if you're from another country, sometimes that C1D visa it's easy to obtain, but it can take, 6 to 8 weeks to kind of get in for an appointment with the American consulates. So I always like to say, expect 30 to 90 days, maybe a little bit longer, but most people make things happen within 6 to 9 months for sure.
You were on maternity leave, and so you decided, you're going to have to shift gear a bit. Right. So you were in the industry, but you have not quite come out. It's just that you found an opportunity in something else, in this, in a different niche within the same industry. Now, what can you talk to us about opportunities and how to seize them? And how do you, I know that, it was through the persons reaching out to you, but what kind of a validation did you have? Just expound a little more on the validation for that business and how you seize the opportunity.
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, it's definitely when you're coming up with something that in essence doesn't exist yet, which at that point, nothing like what I was thinking of doing really existed. Yes, there were other cruise ship guides out there, but, I always hoped to work with clients one-on-one. So really getting to know your potential clients is huge. When I first started Get a Life at Sea 4 years ago, my original clients, I didn't charge clients to do resume consults. I would get on Skype with interested parties that I had met through social media primarily. So through Facebook, Instagram, a lot through my Get a Life at Sea YouTube channel. Actually, that's still today one of the biggest ways that I get new clients is they find me on YouTube. I've got about 50 plus videos on the Get a Life at Sea YouTube channel about life at sea and how to apply. So I would be getting emails from there. And from there, I would book discovery calls and I would just chat with potential clients. What is it that they were looking for? Try out new products and services with them, typically free of charge, and get their feedback and then make those products and services better. And that's exactly how actually a couple of years later, I developed my Cruise Ship Jobs 101 online course, which is an 8-module completely digital video-based course that walks someone right from step one all the way through all of the positions, all of the salary structures, how to update their cover letter and resume on their own, how to apply, how to interview, walks them through everything that I do with my clients one-on-one, but at a much lower price point and a little bit more of a DIY feel. And that course really stemmed from a lot of the feedback that I was providing free of charge at the beginning of my work.
So, Amanda, if you were supposed to sum up the industry, what would you say about it?
Oh, sum up. I mean, in a word, it's booming. Like it is just growing at an exponential rate. I mean, as you know, because we've discussed this in prior, we've got brand new cruise lines on the horizon right now. We've got Virgin Voyages launching next year, which is super exciting. Richard Branson's very own cruise line. That is just going to be it's going to be amazing. They're starting their recruitment right now, actually. And they actually started early April. We've got other cruise lines adding ships every single year to their fleet, at least one or two for the big brands. So cruising is not going anywhere. In fact, it's growing at a super fast rate. And so cruise lines search for talented and dedicated individuals it's ongoing and unmatched.
Interesting. You know, I'm really excited. I just met someone recently too who was talking to me. You know, she's a travel planner. So she does a lot of the cruise allotment and stuff. And she was introducing, I think, MSC. I don't know if you're aware of that line or.
Yes.
That's a new line. It's a new line, is it?
It's not so new, but they're expanding their market. So they've been around for a while in Europe and South America, and then now they're expanding. Yes, it's exciting. They're a great company, though.
Awesome. So she just gave me the manual recently, and the brochure, and I'm going to be checking that out and exploring a lot of options as well. So I mean, our conversations, even from a personal standpoint, it's pretty timely. All right. So I want to hear from you, your final thoughts, Amanda, as well as just share your content. I know that you've mentioned it before, but just share how might our community get in touch with you. And you did mention something to give away as well.
Yes. So if anyone has any questions at all, of course, you can always email me at info@getalifeatsea.com. You can reach out to me on any of the social platforms. You can just search Get a Life at Sea. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, as I mentioned, LinkedIn. And as a side note, I do recommend for everyone to get on LinkedIn because a lot of the cruise lines are actually moving towards LinkedIn when it comes to their recruitment. So that's key, particularly Virgin Voyages. And then when it comes to working with me, I do offer free discovery calls. So again, if you go to the getalifeatsea.com website, you'll see the free quiz you can take. You can see the link to book a discovery call, and you can check out the products and services. As I said, I've got a starter kit. I've got the How the Heck to Get a Job on a Cruise Ship guide. I've got the full Cruise Ship Jobs 101 course. I've got one-on-one coaching, cruise ship resume consultation, and also the full resume rewrite packages. So there is something for everyone at every price point. And again, if you use the Get Paid to Travel code on the How the Heck to Get a Job on a Cruise Ship guide, you'll get 50% off, which I think is a great starting point for anyone sort of interested in getting everything they need to know to DIY it and apply starting tomorrow.
Amazing. So my conversation, as you perhaps know by now, my committee has been with Amanda Hathorn. Amanda is the CEO of getalifeatsea.com, and you can hear the passion with which she speaks about what she does, and she's excited about hearing from you. So do reach out to her so that she can guide you. Maybe it's not something that you want to do long term. Maybe it's something you want to do short term. There's an app, there's an app for that. There is a conversation for that. There's a package for that. So, reach out to Amanda. All right. And thank you so much for tuning in to this episode with Amanda Hathorn. I look forward to connecting with you next week. And I still cannot stop talking about LeaderCast Kingston, which was an overwhelming success. All the sponsors that came together, the partners, the team, the attendees, everyone. It was amazing, and people are still talking about it. And so if you missed it, you can definitely catch LeaderCast Women. That is happening October 18. Do not miss it. Do not hear about it. You want to be there for yourself. Now, you can also visit Heneka Watkis-Porter.com to sign up for the one-on-one coaching, podcast coaching that I do, or an in-person workshop or online course, or any other resource that you think would be able to help you to level up. Remember, you were born to win, but to be a winner, you must plan to win, prepare to win, and expect to win. What good? Attention! LeaderCast Women is an inspirational one-day leadership event featuring renowned female leaders. Male and female audience members alike will leave LeaderCast Women with the tools they need to become leaders worth following. Attend the event via simulcast at Knutsford Court Hotel on October 18. To learn more, visit HenekaWatkis-Porter.com or call 849-2571.
We needed to raise capital, but our experience with local financial institutions was that they were cautious and slow to act, and interest rates were far too high. We had real concerns about financing our business through outside equity investors and the possibility of interference. Could we get a fair valuation for our business? We had our own ideas about the business and its value. Should I go the traditional route of bank financing, or should I try the Jamaica Stock Exchange? So we made a call and experienced transformation of our business through conversations. I'm John Mahfood, CEO of Jamaican Teas, and we're listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Give us a call today at 876-967-3271 to begin your transformation through conversation. We want to see your company listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange.